Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, and I am streaming live from the Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy studio today. Actually, I'm in my office today, and I am super excited to have Rhonda Bonilla on our show today. She is an ARNP practicing down in Kennewick, Washington, just south of us, and I love her. And we've been working with her for a while now, and I love what she does, making people healthy. And she is going to be talking about peptides today. So if you've never heard of them, tune in. If you have heard of them, tune in. And we're going to talk about some specifics too, especially how peptides can help weight loss. We're going to focus a little bit on that one because this is such a broad subject. We could talk for days on it because there's literally thousands of peptides, and more are being not necessarily created all again, but because they're already in our bodies, it's just like they've been isolated and seen what, and we know what they might be used for. So we're going to discuss that into detail. Rhonda, welcome to our show.
Good morning. How are you doing today, Shawn?
I am doing wonderful.
This icy, freezing Pacific Northwest morning.
It is, and it's you're a little bit warmer than us. You don't have the snow that we have, but it's definitely seems to be winter. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Are you missing Southern California yet?
Sometimes I do miss the sun. Yes, I do.
Yeah, right. All right. So let's give us a little history of yourself, Rhonda.
All right. So I've been a nurse for 30 years, a nurse practitioner for 20 years. Did everything from trauma and emergency nursing to rural health, including allergy, immunology, dermatology, and primary care. Then got into wellness and optimization, working with mostly performance and intravenous solutions, IVs, vitamins, and optimization using a word we can't use anymore that starts with S and ends with cells, but and treating rehabilitation. And then got transplanted to the Pacific Northwest, where I was so fortunate to hook up with an amazing RN named Lindsay Kirby, who owns Sculpt Wellness up here. We medically integrated Sculpt Wellness, so now I work up here doing hormones, peptides, optimization, do a lot of thyroid management. We have a tremendously successful weight loss program, and so all things optimization is what we do at Sculpt.
I love it. I love it. And one thing I love just as much is that not only the way you help patients, but the way that you are a role model for your patients. You and your husband are both very healthy, take care of yourselves. And I love seeing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into peptides. So let's just get into the overall of it. What is a peptide?
Okay, so peptides are made from amino acids. So we all know amino acids. We've heard that. Everybody wants to take them for workouts, before workout, after workout. So think of a strand of pearls. So each individual pearl is an amino acid. And as you string them together, they make peptides. So we have more than 7,000 peptides naturally occurring in our body. And so those are strings of amino acids, anywhere from 2 to about 50. So the cutoff of a peptide is about 50 amino acids strung together. When you get more than 50 strung together, it becomes a polypeptide. So similar, but just larger. But then you get more than 100 strung together, you have a protein. So that's the progression: amino acid, peptide, polypeptide into a protein.
I love that. So one of the most things I love about our podcast is I learn something every time. And, although probably in biochemistry 30 some years ago, I probably did learn that, but
Maybe.
Amino acid, peptide, polypeptide, protein. There you go. Makes sense. The progression. So how do peptides, explain biohacking and how can peptides be used in biohacking?
Yeah. So biohacking is definitely a buzzword these days and has been for probably 5, 6, maybe up to 10 years now. I got into it in Central California when a good friend of mine, Angela, and I would sit around and watch our daughters ride horses, and we would just talk about all this stuff that we heard on podcasts. And that's when we found, of course, the father of biohacking, Dave Asprey. And basically, biohacking is doing something to yourself, for yourself, to see the results. If there's something that you don't like and you just try to hack that, you might hack weight loss, you might hack your workout or your recovery. And so peptides fit nicely into that because there's a lot of peptides that we can use to hack different things. And that's one thing that people are always like, what peptide for this? What peptide for that? Well, there are, like I said, over 7,000 naturally occurring peptides in our body, more than 60 that are FDA approved. So here, Shawn, fun pharmacy fact, a question for you. Do you know what the very first FDA approved peptide was?
Wow, you are putting me on the spot. I'm going to be curious to know, and I probably, once you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So
It was in
I
the
don't. What
20s.
is it? What is
It's
it?
insulin.
Oh,
Of
duh.
course, right?
Of course, of course, of course. Insulin's a peptide hormone,
It
is what
is.
it is.
It
Yes,
is.
yes,
It is,
right.
yes. So peptides act on the outside of the cell, and hormones act on the inside of the cell. So yes, it's a peptide hormone. It's technically 51 amino acids, so it's on the verge of a
Right.
polypeptide there. So so to use
I
peptides in
love that trivia.
biohacking, there we go. Fun fact. I love fun facts. Anybody else have fun facts? Put them in the chat. Let's share fun
Yeah,
facts.
please.
Um, so then we can use peptides in biohacking to hack our gut health, our sleep, huge indications in anti-aging, and immune system function, workout, like I said, osteoporosis, bone health, bone growth. And of course, we're not curing, preventing, or doing any of those non-allowed phrases with peptides. We are just mostly people, biohackers are what we call an N of one. So when you are doing studies, because everybody wants to do placebo controlled, peer reviewed studies, right? And N is your number of participants. So biohackers are what we call an N of one. There's just one participant. It's just me. It's just you. It's just whoever's doing that particular experiment on themselves.
Well, I like using N of one because as a compounding pharmacy, we do it all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a placebo-controlled trial with, hundreds or thousands of patients costs hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mhm.
And there are many patients that would go without certain modalities if we had to do a placebo-controlled trial to do anything on them. So N of one, I will tell you, when a doctor asks me, well, do you have any studies on this? The first thing I'll say is I have thousands of patients that say this works. I
Yeah,
mean, that's a good study right there.
I
So
agree. And I think that unfortunately, the medical field doesn't accept um, associations or reports like you said. Like I have a whole group of people that have lost weight using this peptide, although now it is FDA approved, so it's a little more acceptable. But with over 7,000 peptides in our body, more being manufactured every day, there's not going to be placebo controlled studies, because why do those studies get done? Because they want to market it, right? Because
right,
they want a product.
to
Exactly.
patent a drug,
Mhm.
so they can make billions of dollars on it. And not
Correct.
that there's a problem with that. It's just that if it's a naturally occurring substance, you
Mhm.
can't patent it.
Mhm.
I mean, you can patent the delivery device, and that's why you see some of that go on.
Yeah,
But you can't patent the actual ingredient because it's a natural substance.
correct. And that's another fun thing about peptides, and why they can, that's why I love compounding pharmacies, is because I know they've taken a lot of heat over the past few years for peptides, and some of the best peptides have gotten taken away from compounding
Right.
pharmacies because suddenly they're in pharmaceutical studies. I'm trying to be politically correct here. I don't want to get you in trouble, Shawn. And it's discouraging at times. But like I said, with new peptides coming on and online every day, then we'll just move to the next one.
Yeah.
So we'll just say, okay, next, let's go.
So I love your insulin analogy, not just for our listeners and viewers, but for me, because when you give the analogy that insulin's the first peptide that was FDA approved, and not that the FDA approval thing means a lot to me. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be politically correct today. I'm just going to be honest,
All right.
because there's a lot of things that are on the market that I don't believe are safe and are FDA approved.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that aren't FDA approved and I believe are very safe.
Very safe.
I mean, we've had many NP thyroid, which you prescribed, I'm
Yeah.
sure, Rhonda,
Mm-hmm.
is not FDA approved because it was around before the FDA. And that's also why the FDA hates it. But It's been around for hundreds of years, not
It's
hundreds,
still
but
in their sights. It is.
yeah, because it works.
Yeah.
So that's how we know. So the FDA approval thing doesn't mean a lot to me. But
Well, and peptides are signaling molecules. So we went through the structure of peptides, but then why would you take them? What do they do? And so they are signaling molecules, and that's what insulin does, right?
exactly. That's why I love that analogy. We all know, I mean, anybody knows that insulin and its effects. So there's other peptides, not necessarily like it, but peptides can have a huge effect in the body, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about your weight loss program and semaglutide, because that's one that's very, very popular. I get calls about it regularly. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So semaglutide is one of those peptides that is FDA approved. It actually started out in the dementia and neurology world because they noticed that it improved cognition. And then, as happens with drugs, they noticed, oh, this happens, and then that happens, and there's another side effect here. And so the side effect of semaglutide is that it increases, not the side effect, the action of semaglutide is it increases insulin secretion from the pancreas. Increases, which then increases glucose uptake, decreases insulin resistance, and so you have blood sugar modulation. That's another super important fact with peptides is peptides encourage your cells to do what they're meant to do. You can't regulate your immune system with it. You can't you don't up or down regulate with any peptide. You modulate. You bring it to homeostasis, which is your biologically happy place. So, and that's another reason why they're very safe, because I'm sure you can overdose on them and get a very vigorous response, but in a general, they're very safe with very few side effects because our body knows what to do with them. It's not a foreign substance. So then semaglutide increases the uptake of insulin, increases fat oxidation, fat burning, and by doing those two things, you get changes in body composition. I always say, man, I wish I could call it a body composition program instead of a weight loss program, but nobody would go for that. Everybody's fixated on the number on the scale.
Right, I know. We're all about that weight loss number. We've talked about it over and over on our podcast. And, I will tell you, I'm guilty of it. I weighed this morning and I'm, starting my winter training. I'm at my winter weight, which is usually the heaviest I'm in.
Yeah.
And by spring, I want to be my racing weight. And so I weigh on that stupid scale. Even though
you need to come down to Sculpt and do a Fit 3D body composition scan, okay? And that is what we look at.
Yeah.
Because semaglutide is also very anti-inflammatory. There's an awesome study that it has anti-inflammatory effects in every organ system of your body. And so that is why it can help in the brain. I see people with intestinal inflammation lose 10 pounds of inflammation. It's incredible, but without losing fat at all yet. The anti-inflammatory effects are quick. I've had patients with joint pain, knee pain, say it's gone, puffy faces, rings fit better. I mean, all of that stuff happens before the true fat loss happens.
Yeah.
And it's a great peptide for longevity, health, and I won't say anti-aging. It's not really anti-aging, but a graceful aging peptide.
Anytime
I plan on staying on it forever.
Anytime you can have something that decreases inflammation, I mean, it's going to decrease a lot of problems, including aging-related problems.
Yeah.
So on the body composition, instead of weight loss. So, what do you see with your patients as far as overall weight loss and body composition? Tell us some of the results there.
Expected weight loss studies. So there's 4 trials called the STEP trials that they did to get it FDA approved, semaglutide FDA approved, and available as the brand name. You guys will probably recognize it. Ozempic for type 2 diabetes, Rybelsus for type 2 diabetes. That's the oral form of semaglutide. And then Wegovy is the brand name that's FDA approved for weight loss. BMI of greater than 30 usually is what it takes, and comorbidities. And it is patented because, as you said earlier, it's the delivery system. It's the pen, it's the cell auto injector. And so that's fine. But I'm still glad the compounding pharmacies can make it available to inject the good old-fashioned way. And so body composition, we're looking at about a 15% loss of body weight. Uh, and the time, I mean, people, I tell them all the time, it feels like a magic wand, but it's not. You still have to do the work. Um, they've proven that you can lose weight without making any lifestyle changes, but it's very slow. It's very slow. And so when you're investing in a weight loss program, I encourage people to do all the things you can to get that composition, that weight loss happening quickly. And so I like my people to get up to about 4 to 6 pounds a month of weight loss. Some do more, of course, guys. If you have already a huge, not huge, but an increase of muscle mass, of course your metabolism is faster, so you'll lose faster. Changing dietary changes, of course, you cannot talk weight loss without talking prioritizing your protein, healthy fats, and vegetables. Um, that works for most people. There is no perfect diet for every human on this earth. So I see all my weight loss clients once a month, and we have a big conversation about eating and moving, and try to adjust things that to help them optimize their results. And so I think that's an important part of the program is checking in, having a conversation with a trained professional that I've now worked with almost 200 people with this peptide, and so the advice and the insight is there. I have the experience, and so it's really fun to see people just change. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I've told people for many years now that the most dangerous thing that we can do as an American is to be overweight. Um, in 2014, obesity-related disease passed up smoking as it killed more people than smoking. And that is not getting any better. So, and most of the obesity-related disease is from diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Most of it is when the deaths happen, and that's largely preventable. And
the disabilities, knee replacements, hip replacements,
exactly,
immobility. Look at how many scooters we have around the world these days.
Yeah, exactly. So Dr. Shawn Baker, he was on our podcast early on in our podcast, and if you might recognize his name. He's the carnivore diet guy. Yeah.
Who's now a Washingtonian too.
He is. Yeah. So you must follow him. I'm not surprised you follow him. And anyway, here I am. I'm asking him. I'm like, as a pharmacist, I know that most medication that we take on a day-to-day basis in America, 80% of them are lifestyle-related diseases that if you lost weight and ate better and exercise, you wouldn't need them. Mm-hmm. So I had to ask him. I'm like, as an orthopedic surgeon, how many surgeries are unnecessary for orthopedic surgery? And I thought as a pharmacist, maybe 35% are unnecessary. And I realized the weight loss thing, like knees and hips and stuff, but he said 70%. Wow. 70% of surgeries are unnecessary if you change your lifestyle. So weight loss is part of that. Inflammation is part of that because it has to do with he said shoulder surgeries. You change people's diet or change inflammation, and their shoulders aren't sore anymore. They don't need surgery.
Yeah. So Dr. William Seeds is the peptide guru that I train under, and he is an orthopedic surgeon too. And he does a lot with his clients and trying to avoid surgery. So he works with peptides and diet and inflammation and just optimizing that cellular function. It all goes back to the cell. If you have that cell optimized, operating properly, then you don't have aging, you don't have inflammation, you don't have pain, you don't have any of these degenerative conditions. So when cells don't have the information they need, then they behave badly. And then they influence their friends around them to behave badly. And that's when you get arthritis and anything. You get gut dysfunction, you get brain dysfunction. And so peptides are signaling molecules. What else is signaling molecules? Food, sunlight, sleep, exercise, all positive signaling molecules or not positive signaling molecules for our cells to behave badly or not. And so we want to get those rogue cells in control and and that's where fasting comes in, because when you fast, those cells that are not healthy don't survive. And so you get what is called autophagy. I'm sure you're familiar with that word. But autophagy is self-eating. Beautiful word. But it's cleaning up. Self-feeding.
I mean, it is
I
what
mean,
it is.
it is what it is. We want our bodies to get rid of those zombie cells, those rogue or unhealthy cells. And in every part of our body. That's why sleep is important, because we clean our brain at nighttime. We release growth hormone and testosterone at nighttime when we're sleeping.
Our
And
muscles get stronger at night when we rest. They
absolutely,
don't
growth
get stronger
hormone.
when we work out.
Mhm.
I'm not saying we shouldn't work out, but if we don't recover, you will never get stronger.
Nope.
Sleep trumps it all. If you're
Yes,
not sleeping well and at least 8 hours a night, that's a problem.
it is a problem. And then getting at least 10 minutes of daylight every day in the morning. I tell my clients 10 before 10. So at least 10 minutes outside, even on a day like today when it's 31 degrees outside and there's a layer of ice on the deck. Get out there, take the dog for a walk, do something. And then that's also where peptides, we're talking about sleep and muscle. There's other peptides that are growth hormone, what we call secretagogues. So they encourage our brain to secrete growth hormone. And those are CJC 1295, ipamorelin, tesamorelin, sermorelin. So there's lots of peptides that we can use to.
GHRP2, GHRP6.
Yep, the
Right.
GHRPs,
Yep.
growth hormone releasing peptides.
Yeah, right.
There you got it. And so there's a whole, menu of those that we can go through and work with, increasing recovery. And in that respect, when you're talking about growth hormone, that's like your master repair and building. And so there's a lot of things that can be improved with those. When I was trying to work out like my big buff husband, I hurt my shoulder and I was using BPC 157 and TB 500, which are both healing and anti-inflammatory. And I just, even injecting it into the site, taking it orally, it just wouldn't go back to 100%. And so I started on a cycle of CJC 1295 and ipamorelin. And within 2 weeks, my shoulder pain was gone. So I was like, oh, why did I not stack this together? That's when we can definitely stack different peptides to be synergistic.
Yeah, right.
And that's why it's important to get an informed provider to help you do that, because it can go wrong and you can waste money. These aren't inexpensive. And so optimizing your results with your stacks and with what you're using is important. And preparing the terrain, that's always a good thing. Dr. C talks a lot about that with surgery, orthopedic surgeries especially. A lot of people use PRP or other anti-inflammatory injections before trying to avoid surgery. But if you're still have high blood sugar, if you're still highly inflamed, that is not going to be as effective as if you had prepared your body to properly use what you're providing to it. So we have to give those cells a happy environment to thrive.
Just like you're talking about with weight loss. I mean,
Yeah.
you could give some glutide alone and the patient may lose weight. But obviously if you move and you change your diet, and you're not just going to lose weight, but you're going to get better body composition and just feel better and look better.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, with weight loss, we can talk about using the numbers of body composition with your body fat. We can talk about using a scale, but let's face it. I'd say this all the time. The most important thing with weight loss, why does people want to lose weight? To look good.
Look good. Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what the scale says. It does, but it doesn't. It's a tool. It's important that how you look. That's the important part. Do you want to look good in the mirror? That's what weight loss is. Tell us about weight loss. Tell us about your most dramatic story. I know you have like 140 over 140 patients in your weight loss program.
Yeah. So since May of this year, when we launched the program, over 140. Well, the first incredible story was we started when I was researching semaglutide. I was like, well, I obviously didn't know a lot about it, dosing and all that stuff. So we found the biohackers in the group and we're like, hey, we're all going to do this and let's see what happens. So, of course, Lindsay, the owner of Sculpt Wellness, and then I recruited my husband who wanted to lose weight, and they got started on it, and my husband lost 40 pounds in 4 months. So that was the first, like, and his picture's on our website. So
Oh,
if you
let me, I'm going to find that because your husband looks freaking amazing. I'm jealous when I see him in his swimsuit. I'm jealous. I'm going to find his picture while you're talking. Okay,
no
Rhonda?
problem. And I think Lindsay's is up there too, and she lost 30 pounds. So that was no joke either. Um, and so another super successful one who started probably in May, about a little after we started the program, is Nikki, and she's our wellness tech at Sculpt Wellness, and she's lost now 40 pounds. And she's on our social media pages. You've seen a couple of interviews with her. She posts her measurements and talks about her journey. And both of these people, it's Lindsay and Nikki, when you talk to people who knew them, everybody was like, I didn't realize that they had even that much weight to lose. But both of them now are just thriving and super happy and never want to go back to where they were before. I tell you, we've really kept the clothing industry in business with everybody cleaning out their closets. We're in the process right now of tallying our total weight loss for all of our people in the program, and I'm super excited because I hope we've literally made Tri-Cities a ton lighter, because it is super fun to come in and have people so excited.
It is. I'm looking at these results. So tell me, I don't know if are these pictures Lindsay or your
No, go
husband?
over to services. That's our body sculpting. So
Okay,
that
go over to
that's
services. Give me
services.
just a second here. Go over to services and then where?
Weight loss program. There, no, up, right there. They should be in there somewhere. If not, they're on our social media too. So
There's Rhonda.
there's Shawn Needham. Hey, I was a brunette then.
Mhm.
Oh, they're not on the website. There they are.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Lindsay and my husband Buck.
Lindsay, holy smokes. Lindsay looks amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, your husband, holy smokes. Good for him. That's awesome.
And that's why, based on when we started doing these pictures, so literally the before pictures, both Lindsay and Buck were taken in January, and then the afters, they started the program. We started doing semaglutide in February. So those pictures are like June, yeah, so January to June. And then you can see below that, it's cut off right now, but you can see the inches.
Oh,
And that's
let me just arrow down. I can arrow down further.
So this is those are typical. If you go down, those are our Fit 3D. So it does measurements, and that's another thing I really like about Fit 3D is you can consistently get pretty accurate measurements. 5.7 inches off of our waist. Like that is
Yeah,
pretty
well, and just
amazing.
look at the before and afters. It's
Yeah, you can
obvious.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you have Buck's information on there? You don't have his inches, do
it's
you?
his inches are on there, no, but we are putting together more to put on the to add to the website, more of the
Yeah, that's
statistics
cool.
and more. We have lots of testimonies, and there's going to be we're going to launch our YouTube. Well, we have a YouTube channel, and it'll be on there as far as testimonies, written and oral. So, yeah,
But when inches, weight, body composition, who cares? Look at what Lindsay and Buck
yeah.
look like
Look
after
what they
the
look
fact.
like.
I mean, seriously, who cares what the numbers are?
Yep, that's so true. And then that's when I really talk to my ladies about lifting weights. And then we do have muscle stem and body sculpting services at Sculpt. So if there's just a little section here or there that's left over, and it's because you can't target your fat loss, right? You lose fat where you lose fat from, and then got to work on toning up those muscles underneath,
Yeah,
lifting weight.
strength training is so important,
Yeah.
so important, and I think that's one thing that gets forgot about a lot, especially with women, is
Mhm.
that there was many years ago. I think we're over that now. I hope, but maybe not. Women would thought, well, if I lift weights, I don't want to get big muscles, and
Yeah.
you're not. You're just going to get toned. I
Yeah.
mean, that's great, and then you're going to increase muscle mass to help you burn fat, burn more calories,
Yeah.
maintain lean body mass. I mean, why wouldn't you want that? And there's prevent injury, prevent
Yeah.
osteoporosis. I mean,
Osteoporosis. I
yeah,
said we don't want to be fragile little old ladies, and that's what makes old people fragile is sarcopenia, is losing muscle. And
yeah,
so we have to fight that tooth and nail from an early age would be great, but as soon as we get motivated to do that, we need to do that. I tell my women, LHS, lift heavy, stuff. And, it's like,
Right.
don't be
And
afraid.
it's never too late to start.
No, no.
I mean, when I see, when I go wherever I go around my travels around the nation, I see an old lady or an old man. I got to be careful what I call old anymore because I'm getting there.
I'm there.
Yeah, right. But you see them and they're bent over and they just look frail. We in the healthcare profession have failed them.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason for a woman to get osteoporosis and be all bent over like that, and no reason for a man to. And if it happens, it's because we in the healthcare system has failed them. Doesn't have to happen.
I agree.
So, Rhonda, as we wind this podcast up, what if there was one thing you could sum up peptides in? What a 2-sentence? How would you sum it up? I told you I wasn't going to put you on the spot, but
That's okay. That's okay. It's what I always say. There's a peptide for that.
There you go. All right. That's a good one. And there's more coming out every day. So, that's the good news. And, and practitioners like you that are on the cutting edge are helping patients change patients' lives because of them. So thank you for doing that.
No problem. I am a dedicated lifetime learner and I will never stop learning about peptides. And if anybody wants help with them, bring it on.
So what do you have a passion for, Rhonda?
Wellness, optimization, science.
That's obvious.
That little emoji with the geek glasses, like I identify with that.
That's awesome. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So definitely through the office, or the website, you can do sculptwellness.com. You can call the office. Scroll up to the top and show them the phone number, Shawn.
Yeah, I'm working on it. There it is right there, Sculpt Wellness. And did I say you guys in Kennewick or Richland? I can't.
The address is Kennewick, yeah.
It is, right. Sure. But it's kind of in the back of the Richland way. Yeah, I always get it confused there. So
yeah.
You guys
we have social media too. So we have a big presence on Instagram and Facebook. Occasionally I'll jump on there and do lives. I said I need to do a segment called Rhonda's Rants or Rhonda's Raves because sometimes I just get fired up about something I need to get off my chest.
You should. Just to record a quick video and put it on social media. I actually, because you're social media, I actually connected with Lindsay through social media, and that's how I found you guys. So
that's awesome.
Social media works.
Yeah. That's how we found our awesome lab that we have here, Tomorrow's Health, right?
I love them. Yeah.
Thank you for your product, Shawn. You make all of my compounded hormones for us and do an awesome job. Our clients love you because your service is great. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We love working with people like yourself and your patients because we just like changing people's lives. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've been doing for over 24 years now, and we so love it. Jan, I tell everybody, it's like we're not going to retire. It's like, why would we retire? We love what we're doing, seriously. Yep. So, and it's because of people like you. So, thank you, Rhonda.
Well, we're a great partner. That's how I met you guys too, because I met Janet in an elevator at a hotel in Utah because we were at the same hormone training.
That's right. I forgot about that. Right. That's right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and here we are. So, well, thank you so much for being on today and educating us about peptides and biohacking. We will have to have you on again and talk about some more weight loss stories and more peptides. So thank you for being on. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in today. We really appreciate you. Tune in Monday. I don't know what the subject will be yet, and it might just be me. But tune in 12:30 to 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Thank you.